Do you think Michigan State in the next few seasons can contend with Jonathan Smith and their staff and the way that they're recruiting or can recruit?
I think it's going to be hard for them. Like the Big Ten right now with Michigan, with Ohio State, Oregon, Michigan, USC, what Lincoln Riley brings to the table. Even we'll see how their defense gets, but I think it's going to be hard for Michigan State to get back to that D'Antonio level. I think it's going to be hard. You know, Mel Tucker had his little splash in the pan with the transfers, really Kenneth Walker, but I think it's going to be hard for them to get back to that level. Like they might have a decent year, but it's going to be hard for them to get 10 wins. I think a lot of the time, most years, I think Michigan State's going to go back to being that little brother, like Michigan likes to call them. I think they're going to stay around there.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That could be the Michigan in me, the Michigan Wolverine in me, but I just don't think that they're going to get back to that level of being like, okay, we can win the Big Ten, dominate the Big Ten. I think it's going to take longer than a couple years at least if they do get back to that.
Yeah. That I think is that's a good statement. Good quality analysis, at least on the part of it'll take them some time. There's no doubt about that. I ashamedly so, or accidentally so, did buy in a little bit to Mel Tucker, but I've never been like this bought in as compared to Jonathan Smith. Like A+ hire. I look at Mike McDonald, his strength and conditioning coach, who's made Oregon State one of the most physical teams in the then Pac-12. Good defense, good punishing offense and ground game. I think Michigan State's biggest question is honestly their recruiting.
Exactly.
If they can get recruiting solved out, if they can get that solved, I think that they could be up there. Like they could be in tier 1 if they get it solved. And it's because I think I made a tweet about this that some have asked me about. And I'm not giving an answer cleverly because I want to like back it up. I actually think that I'm just going to say it. I think they have the best staff in the Big Ten. Looking at position coaches, OC, DC, strength and conditioning coach, head coach, and averaging all of that out and giving what I think is its proper weight. I think they have the best staff. But that's more from a developmental and coaching angle. They got to recruit. That's where they're the most unproven. And recruiting's not the end-all be-all. But if you want to get to like D'Antonio and be more consistent or be better than that, you have to recruit at a consistent, I would say at least top 20 level, which Michigan State can do. But it's going to be hard. I think they're a future contender in my mind.
Think so? How many years do you think it'll take them?
This year, obviously not. Next year, the tricky thing is my time frame. Would probably give like 4 years, like where all the roster's basically his at this point. And the only reason I say that is because their schedule every year is tough. Like the minute they get a little bit of a break in non-conference in conference play in maybe 26, depending on how things are panned out, they play Notre Dame non-conference. Like their schedule will be tough every year. It doesn't look like for now they'll have a Rutgers or Iowa type schedule where you get some sizable built-in wins. So I don't have like an exact year where I think, oh, well, they're back. But I think it'll be within the next half decade. I think you'll see them have a pretty big breakout year.
It's funny hold on real quick. It's funny that you say that because I feel like when you're trying to rebuild a program, you don't need to play those crazy out of conference games. Like you really do need those schedules like Rutgers has this year, so you can build it up and, okay, I got something going. I might actually accomplish something and have a great record. I think you need that.
Yeah. Yeah, it helps to build up the record, to get recruits to see the wins and losses, all that good stuff. For Wisconsin, I'm a believer in Fickle. My issue, I think, with Wisconsin, I think mainly revolves around the fact that I don't know. I think it's more challenging to recruit there than in most of the former Big Ten East schools. And I love Fickle as a head coach and what he's done, but some of their hires, like whether it's Alex Grinch as the safeties coach or even Phil Longo as the OC, it kind of makes my head scratch a bit. Do you think this team's a future contender? Like for the Big Ten, we're not talking national title because that's hefty for any program.
I don't think consistently. I think it'll be similar to how it was before, where you're every 4 years or every 2 or 3 years they get a team with a lot of juniors and seniors, and then there's something serious.
Okay.
I think it'll be like that still.
So you think it'll be like Paul Christ, but without the teetering off at the end?
Yeah, yeah. Like when they have a team full of those juniors and seniors, they're gonna give it to you. So I think it'll be like that with Wisconsin. I think they, get back to how they were, honestly.
Yeah, all I'll say in regards to that is I think I'm not. I may have already been on record saying this, and if so, maybe I regret it. I do think under Fickle, because of the coach he is, I'd be willing to say they'll probably win the Big Ten in his tenure there at least like once.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, I don't know. Contender, yeah, consistently. I'm actually not as confident as I am with Michigan State, mainly because of the staff. But that's my own thing. We'll see if that ages well or not. All I'll say about Michigan State, the last thing I will is, before Sharon Moore won Michigan the games he did, and then I'm like, he deserves the job and he'll be really good. I wanted Michigan to hire Kalen DeBoer or Jonathan Smith if Harbaugh left after 23. So I've
Okay.
been high on them since that. Really, I would say 2022 season with Smith on the
Got you.
staff. Now we
Got you.
got Nebraska. Nebraska, I actually have a timetable for when I think they're going to be legitimate contenders.
I don't. I'm not buying Nebraska. I'm not buying them. I'm not buying it. I want to try to think of a way. It's just been too long for me to buy into them. You know.
Plus, plus they underachieved last year. I mean, they really should have went 7-5 or 8-4, and
No.
they fell apart.
Exactly. So I have to see them. And I just don't see it. I don't see it getting to where they'll be consistently good in the Big Ten. I think they're another team that if they have a lot of seniors, they might give you a headache. But besides that, I think they'll be a team that's mediocre, underachieves a lot of the times, like you said. So I'm not buying into them.
I think next year they're going to be like not elite, but they're going to be like 2000. They're going to be a 2019, let's just say that, like level Wisconsin team. They're going to be dangerous. And if
Mm-hmm.
things go their way, they could.
One of those headaches.
Yep. Oh yeah,
One of
like
those headache teams.
not Ohio State, maybe not Oregon or Michigan or Penn State, but they'll be like right behind them and closer than I think some people will expect. Because Raiola will be in his sophomore season, and they're a young team too, so they'll have much more experience. And I don't know if they'll be able to retain Tony White because he wants a head coaching job and he's an elite DC, but his system will be installed there by then. So, like, I think in 2025, Nebraska can be a really, really good team. And if things bounce their way, absolutely they're Big Ten contenders that year. But I get where you're coming from in all of that. We got, finally, this is last but not least, the Trojans, USC. Do you think they'll contend with Riley? Can they? Like,
That's a good question. I think I give them a little more. I have a little more faith in them than most teams because he finally changed the D coordinator. So that's a plus. It's similar to Harbaugh keeping Don Brown for so long. I'll give you the plus for that. That's a step in the right direction. Now his offense, the question is with him was will you play more complementary football, trying to sling it all over the yard so much, you're not helping your defense out doing that, you know what I'm saying? So but I think he might be able to get it going at USC, but it's going to be, can he get it going and keep his job? That's, to me, that's the question. Can you get
yeah.
it going and have an elite season in these? I'll say 3 years. In these next
Yes.
3 years.
Yes. Thank you for saying that. I don't think he's getting fired this year. Like, even if they miss a bowl game. And
No.
if you want to tell me, oh, well, no. They kept Clay Helton around after he went 5-7 and had and that was like Pac-12 wide open. They'll, with a transition year like this, and they return about as much production as Michigan does from a team that would have lost to 30 points by Michigan last year, they would be dumb to get rid of him unless they
Yeah.
went like 2-10 or 3-9. That would be
Yeah.
like, I think with the staff, I think the staff he's put together is actually one of the best defensively in the Big Ten. With bringing in the Ravens system, hiring Doug Belk, Eric Henderson, North Dakota State's head coach to be the linebackers coach, not even a coordinator. My question for them is strength and conditioning. It is for this, that's for long term. For this year, it's just all that they've lost on
Yeah.
offense and the fact their defense has to be fixed. But I think USC is a team like Nebraska in the way that next year, if they play their cards right, I think next year they'll be a pretty good team.
Yeah. This year is more rebuild and setting the foundation for 2025.
Yeah, that's what I think. And that's what worries me, because if I think USC is going to be really good, perhaps top 15, top 10 good next year, they probably should be better than what I'm projecting them to be this year. I mean, I have them power rated top 30, but I think their schedule is just so tough, and all the Big Ten teams they play, like, most of them can run the ball and have good D lines. They match up well with USC in addition to being close to them.
Yeah.
But I think if they just recruit, because they've been recruiting top 20, top 15, and additionally with the portal, it's probably close to top 10.
Yeah.
If they just keep doing that, and the defensive staff pans out, and it should, and Riley just keeps pumping out quarterbacks and wide receivers,
Exactly.
they, the elite strength and conditioning that I think they lack, unless they want to win the Big Ten every other year, that may not even be an issue, honestly. Like, just with the receivers, the offense, and then a defense that's well schemed and tactical, it'd be a deal breaker. Like, if
Yeah. Riley's got he's got enough to, all he has to do is tweak where he's lacking at.
yes,
And he could have them where they're tough, and you're gonna hate to see them on the schedule.
yeah. I mean, if every one of his teams just had a top 25 defense, not even better than
Pretty
that.
much just defense.
Yeah, then they're 2022 Ohio State every single year, and he probably has a playoff win, or maybe
Yeah.
even a national title. Like, that's
Exactly.
all it takes. And with the staff he's assembled, if they get good recruiting and time, they'll probably be better than top 25 defensively.
You would think. You would think. It's just going to be trying to get down this. How fast can they get that system down? And do you have the players to really run it how it needs to be ran?
Yeah, yeah, and I don't think they do this year, but
Me neither.
that's just my opinion. Next year, you get more development, you get your recruits in. I mean, and I've been consistent with that. I mean, that was my whole thing with Jim Knowles. Like, yeah, good hiring, the defense will improve, but it's not going to be top 10 in year one because they kind of wrecked it for 2 years in a row. And
Yeah.
that's me with USC, except they wrecked it even worse for 2 years in a row. And before that, because Clay Helton wasn't any good. So
Yeah.
this year, it'll probably be a top 75 unit, maybe higher if they can work a miracle. Next year, it should probably be top 25. And if Riley is here beyond that, they should be much better. But
Definitely.
thank you for watching this cut of Touchdown Talk. Remember to like the video to help this channel get into the algorithm and grow as we approach the 2024 season. And also subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so that you can participate in our giveaway at 20,000 subscribers. Help us to grow, join this awesome community, and also be notified when we release new content here on College Football with Sam. I would like to thank my Patreon members for sponsoring this video and channel. A shout out to Crash2488 and Brasco Rascal for being $25 a month Heisman members. A shout out to $10 a month American members, all American members, Chris Lane, Connor Little OH, and Ismar. And a shout out to $5 all conference members, John Lynn, Roaming Gnome, Matthew Sale, Austin Christmas, and Janisha Cockrell. Have a great day, guys, and we will see you soon. Bye.